Okay. Hey guys, how you doing? All right, so this was our 6 p.m. We had 8 kids. We're missing 1 person who is viewing, probably me. Perfect. Okay, I'm going to just mute my mic. I'll be right back. Hey guys, I'm just turning on my phone so I can send out a quick Google Classroom notice. Let's see. Actually, yeah, we'll just wait. Right now, I think I'm the only viewer, so it makes no point to start. Give people a couple more minutes and then I will send out that new notice. And then we're good. Okay. Okay. Snap. Okay, just put that out and excellent. I'm going to send a Google Classroom and then I'm going to start. And then whenever people come, they come. Perfect. Welcome. Go ahead and type in your name. I'm just adding the updated announcement. Second session starting now. Last time we had 8 kids. Okay, perfect. I'm going to go ahead and get started. You're welcome to put your name if you want to get credit for today. Basically, this is going to be really quick. It takes like 40 minutes to get through it. You guys can write questions, type it out. We did discover that there's like a little bit of a delay between the two sections. Oh, really? Interesting. It says the live stream doesn't come up. How is that possible? Okay, let me go real quick over here and let's see how we can do that. Okay, hopefully the updated link works. Let me see if it would bring me back to it. It does bring it back. Okay, perfect. Sophia, thank you so much. If you ever watch this, you rock because you just told me that it wasn't working. So now we have that. Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to move this over here so I can get back on track. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. So thank you. If you are viewing, you can go ahead, type your name in if you want to get credit. Last session, I had 8 students participate, so they're going to have boosts on one of their quiz grades because of that. So you just have to type your name in your period. And I do want you to think growth mindset. How focused do you want to be for this session? Now, you don't have to participate. Last session, students asked questions. One person asked me to go back because I went too fast. So you have the right to tell me I'm going fast, I'm going slow. Just let me know. It's no big deal. Thanks. Hey, Cam, nice to see you. You should have a paper. You should have a pencil. In theory, a calculator. You could use your cell phone if you can go back and forth between apps. Ideally, in the future, you would want to have your EOC notebook with you. Today, what we're talking about, it doesn't have anything to do with the EOC, but for sure, if we do it again, you'll want to have your EOC notebook. I did grade all the EOC notebooks. So those grades are going to go in the computer tomorrow morning during my prep. Okay, so here we go. Let's go ahead and get started. It is important for us to be able to know why we're doing this. The purpose of today is to see the link between what you should have already known from algebra and even pre-algebra and how it relates to geometry. Basically, last session, we spent about 20 minutes looking at multi-step equations, about 15 to 20 minutes looking at proportions. And then if after the first 2 things, which are really big deals, if you are already comfortable, hey, if you're already comfortable, hey, CJ, if you're already comfortable doing decimals and fractions, then you can just jump out. You don't have to stay the whole time. The first 2 sections, though, are super important, especially the middle section, the solving and setting up proportions. But when we do the last couple minutes, if you already know how to do decimals and fractions, you can just say, see you later, and you can be out. Okay, so I put little cartoons in between here. I do say Ginger is here. She's next to me, my dog. So you might hear her barking. She barked a couple times last time. She's overlaying on the bench next to me. So here it is. Here's this very complex problem. This is what multi-step equations are. And it says, wouldn't it be more efficient to just find who's making these difficult equations and asking them to stop? Because this solution, of course, would yield to a fraction. But you, unfortunately, need to be masters of it. So basically, the steps are pretty simple. Whenever you have parentheses, and you will see things with parentheses when we deal with circle formula, you'll see things with parentheses when we deal with the volume and density formulas. So it is important that you know how to do this. First, you always do the distribution first, which is the parentheses. Then you'll go on and you'll simplify terms. Hold on one second. I got to take a Okay, then you're going to simplify both sides. Jasmine, welcome back. Good to see you. Both sides. And once you simplify both sides, we'll do the opposite operations and then go ahead and move down the list. Hey, Jasper, I'm also keeping track on my little notepad to make sure that you guys get credit. So first and foremost, here's the first question. So what you should be doing is you should be writing this on your paper, and then you should make a note of it so that you can like do the problem along with me. I'm just catching up. And Angel. Okay, so far I got everyone on my paper. Okay, so first things first, there's no parentheses here. So there's not anything that really fancy that I need to do. I will just combine like terms first. So this, nothing would change on this side. Hey, Dom. But here I can combine the 5p and the 3p, and that'll give me 8p. So if you're just joining us, if you have questions, please type out a question. I can stop the session and go over something again. We did that in the 6 o'clock session. If I'm going too fast, please tell me. The stuff that you should already know, I'm going a little bit faster on but I will take more time on the stuff that's like really connects to geometry. And I got Dom, I got you too. Okay. So now that I've combined the like terms, I can move the different variables over. Some teachers, I typically always like to keep my variables positive. So I'm going to subtract p from both sides. The reason why I do this is my goal is to get p all by itself. So when I do that, p minus p is 0 because 5 minus 5 is 0. 10 minus 10 is 0. Any number by its minus itself is 0. This -1 comes down here. Then I've got 8 pineapples minus 1 pineapple. Hi, Nija. 8 minus 1 is 7. And then I've got the -8. If you didn't hear me already, you should have paper and pencil working these problems out and checking your answers. Now, all I'm going to do is add 8 to both sides. And I'm adding 8 to both sides because I want to get the 7p by itself. When I do that, this cancels. And you just keep the same number. All you do is you switch the signs because our goal is 0. And then I've got on this side, -1 minus 8, which would give me -7. And this is +7. Oh, wait, that would give me +7. Sorry. And then when we divide both sides by 7, we get p equals 1. So I'm going to go on because I want you to see the more challenging problems, but this video gets saved, so you can just go back and look at it. So let me just trash this, scroll. I do want you to try these two equations on your own. So I'm going to not talk for the next 30 seconds so you can start these equations. And that way, once you get your answer, just go ahead and type your answer in the chat box. But please try it because it's not just about you watching, it's about you doing. So I'll just hold up and wait and go ahead and try this problem out. See, this is my sunshine coming through the clouds, which looks awful, but that's how I'm killing time while you do this problem. I will start it now. Again, I like to keep my variables positive. So I'm going to start off by adding 5a to both sides because this will eliminate this negative. And then when I do that, I also put 5a over here. Then I have 1 apple plus 5 apples. That's going to give me 6 apples altogether. Now, this one's tricky because you would think you're going to get a number that makes sense, and you really don't. I still need to, now that I have the 6a by itself, I need to move the 5 to the other side. So I'm going to do that simply by subtracting 5. I keep hitting the wrong one. I'm left with 6a equals 0. So my final step is just to, I don't know why it's tracking my face right now. My final step is to just divide both sides by 6, which in essence would give me a equals 0. Let me go here. Ooh, it took my picture. I don't want pro. I don't want Auto timer. All right, must have been in the wrong mode. Okay, so let's move on. Hopefully you got 0. Let's take a look at the next one. I've got here, I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides. Hey, Bryson, welcome back. When I do this, this cancels when I subtract 5p from both sides. Again, I did it. Bryson, I got your name written down. Because I want to isolate the variable. I want to get the piece all by itself. So this leaves me with negative 14 equals 3p plus 4. Then I'm going to move the 4 to the other side by subtraction. This leaves me negative 18 equals 3p. And then again, I'm trying to get that p by itself. So I'm going to do the inverse operation. The opposite of multiplying by 3 is dividing by 3. So I get negative 6 equals p. I'm going to keep moving on. You can always pause it later. Let me know if you're stuck. And we can always go back. You just got to tell me. This is where I want to spend most of our time on this topic because it's more challenging. So this has the distribution in it. So first you're going to do the distributive property. And all the distributive property is multiplication. So I got 6 times 1, which is 6. And then I've got 6 times 3k. Oh, she's going to start barking. She's very excited. Is 18k. Good girl. Everything's okay. Then this whole stuff gets written down again. Next, I'm going to move my variables. So I like to keep my k's positive. So I'm going to add 6k to both sides because that's going to turn this into a positive 24k. This cancels. The negative 18 comes down. The 6 comes down. Now I've got my k's on one side, but I got to get my constants over. So I'm going to subtract 6 from both sides. This is going to give me negative 24 equals positive 24k. And then I just divide both sides by 24. So I'm left with k equals negative 1. Okay, I just got to, oh, we're good. Let's take a look at the next one. The next one's a little bit more challenging because it's 2 sets of distributions. Now, one of the things that you have to be mindful of is that you pay attention to the signs. The signs are very important. Remember, a positive times a positive is going to give us a positive. A negative times a negative is also going to give us a positive. A positive times a negative will be a negative, and a negative times a positive is negative. Basically, if the signs are the same, it's positive. If the signs are different, it's negative. That's basically the whole thing. Hey, Raj, good to see you. I got your name. Thank you. So now I'm going to do negative 3 times 4, and that's negative 12x. Negative 3 times positive 3, which is, oops, sugar shoots, negative 9. And then I've got positive 24x and positive 4. And all of that is going to equal 43. Are you okay? What do you see? Now I'm going to combine my like terms. I'm going to go a little bit faster. Negative 12x and positive 24x. It's basically like I owe you $12. So I'm like, you know what, Jasmine, I love you so much. I'm going to give you $24. So not only did I pay the $12 I owed you, I also gave you 12 extra dollars. So negative 12 plus 24 will give me my positive 12. Then I've got negative 9 plus 4. So I owe you $9, but I only gave you $4. So I still owe you 5. And that's going to equal 43. Now I got my 12 x's on the one side. I'm all set. Excuse me 1 second. Ginger is very protective of the house. I'm sorry. Then I'm going to add the 5 to both sides because now I still want to get the x's by itself. So now I have 12x equals 48. And then the final step is going to be to divide, hey, Abel, both sides by 12. And then there you go. So if you're stuck and you're watching this, Abel, I got your name, thanks. You can go ahead and just rewatch this video, no problem. And we're going to move on. Delete this. scroll. I want to give you guys some time to try this problem out on your own. So go ahead and take some time to do it, and I will just draw, I guess, flowers while you try it. Nope, you're okay. This flower looks very funny. You should be working on this problem on your own. Nope. If you can't hear Ginger, she's going crazy. There's your flower, pink. Yay. All right, here we go. It's interesting that I've written down all those students' names and I'm down to 5 viewers. So if you're still here, type your name so I can give you actual credit. Because I want to make sure that people who are here get credit for it. Okay, so I'm going to start this problem now that hopefully by now you've at least got it started. I've got -5 times 1 is -5. -5 times -5 is positive 25x. 5 times -8x is -40x. 5 times -2 is -10. Thank you, thank you. Equals -4x minus 8x. See, I can see from my dashboard how many people are still here. Thank you, Cam. Thank you, Abel. I've noted that. So I want to make sure that you guys get credit for being here. Now I'm going to combine my like terms. This is going to give me -15x. Thanks, Jasmine. Here's my -5 and my -10. So that's going to give me -15. And then when I combine these, I'm left with -12. Now, basically, because I already have something over here, I'm just going to move this x over. So that way I can have x's on both sides. And I know I'm going through this fast because this one, I really want to move on to like what we're going to be doing on the EOC. Thanks, Jasmine. I got you. Divide both sides by 3, and you get -5 equals x. Just check. Okay, here we go. Here comes the next stuff. Mouse. So this next stuff is on proportions. This is the, I don't want to say the most important, but like the most important topic related. So how can we solve this problem? We have 2 over x equals 3 over 9. This little cartoon person's like, I don't know how to do it. And then basically all you do is cross multiply. So let's take a look. There's multiple suggestions on what's the best way. We have inches over feet. So like basically you keep the labels the same on the top. So like in this example, there's inches over here and there is inches over here. That's like one idea. And then the other one would be like feet over feet. Other people put like the inches over the inches and the feet over the feet. So you'll see coming up in this example. Basically speaking, I've got 2 triangles and you will see this. This type of problem is absolutely on the EOC. Basically, we say, well, what line matches with which line? Here I've got, wow, that's crazy huge. Here I've got this 5 and that matches to this line. So that gives me 5 over x. Then I've got this right here, which matches to this. So that gives me 4 over 8. I would do either of them. As you can see in this problem, I kept like one side of one triangle that matched the other side of that triangle of the new triangle. So I do like small to big. But that's just me. Some people would have you do it like this. Some people would have you do 5 over 4 equals x over 8. So literally either one will give you the same answer. So if this is a 5 and this is the x. Because now when we solve it, we have 4 times x, which is 4x, 5 times 8, which is 40. Divide both sides by 4, and you get x equals 10. Here, you have 4 times x, which is 4x, 5 times 8, which is 40. Divide both sides by 4, then you get x equals 10. Okay, so either way, you get the same answer. Here, I like to keep it simple. So I'm like, oh, 10 and 40, those numbers are really easy to figure out. So I would do 10 over 40. Hi, Monica. And then I would do 3 over x. And I'm doing 3 over x because I'm trying to solve for x. So that's why it would make sense to do that. Then I cross multiply. And divide both sides by 10. And that is how you do the simpler problems. I definitely recommend you like re-looking at this again and revisiting it. This is not like an EOC level question. We will be doing more EOC level questions, but if you don't know how to do proportions, it's really important that you know how to do them. Okay, this next, oh, that's why I move it. Okay. This next problem is a very important problem. This is an EOC and district assessment level problem. It's on the AKS for our school. So if there's one time that you are all of a sudden going to start paying attention in this whole like 45 minutes, this is the one time to pay attention. Basically speaking, it's asking what transformations happened for the circle A to get to the circle B. In this case, because the circle was small and got larger because it's A to B, I know one thing that happened was a dilation. So I need to figure out what the dilation was. This stuff is super important. Then I also know that the circle moved. It started right here and then it ended right here. So because of that, they also had to have a translation. So the main thing to remember, yep, exactly, Cam. The main thing to remember is anytime you have similar circles, you will always have a dilation happen and you will almost always have a translation happen. Basically, all circles are similar. That's like if you have to remember anything about circles, you have to remember all circles are similar. But I'm confident, like I've seen this when I'm going through and prepping. I've seen this on similar EOC tests. So I want to make sure you get it. First, let's look at the dilation. Anytime you have dilation, the main thing to think about is the radius. So first, I'm going to figure out what's my radius. Well, for circle A, my radius is 2 boxes. So I'm going to put an A here with a circle around it, and I know my radius equals 2. Then I'm going to figure out what my radius is here. Well, here my radius is 3. So for circle B, my radius is 3. Now, technically speaking, you're supposed to remember that whatever comes last is what goes on top. So like B is divided by A. Always. Whatever the last shape is, that's always divided by the first shape. So the image is always divided by the pre-image. Now, let's say you don't remember this. This is what you got to do. All right. Is the circle getting bigger or smaller? And there's like a 30-second lag, so I'm not going to wait for your answer, but it's getting bigger. So I have 2 options for my fractions. One option is to do 2 divided by 3. But if I do that on the calculator, I get 0.67. My other option is to give 3 divided by 2. And when I divide that on the calculator, I get 1.5. So because it's starting small and getting bigger, I know I have to multiply by a number that's bigger than 1. So that's why I could eliminate this and right away say that it was a dilation. So what transformation happened? First, there was a dilation of 1.5. That's the first thing that happened. Now, it doesn't really matter the order. You could say the translation happened first. It doesn't matter. But basically, a dilation of 1.5. So now we did this. Check. Perfect. Now we need to figure out the translation part. The way that you do translations, and this is like my math hack, there's probably a more official way, is I just count the boxes. I'm like, okay, well, if I started here and I have to get here, what did I do? Well, first I went over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I moved 6 spaces. So I would write down translation. and I went 6 spaces to the right. And it's actually 6 units. Then now I'm hanging out right here. So my next thing is, what did I do next? Well, I went down 1, 2. And then I would write down 2 units down. So this is so important. Like, this is what you have to really make sure you know. Similar circles, all circles are similar. And basically, if it moves, and you might see, everyone I've seen on the EOC, it has like a picture, not on the EOC, but on the EOC practice materials I've been looking at, it has pictures. And basically, similar circles have proportional radii, or proportional, the radiuses are proportional. And you first look at what the dilation is, and you do that by taking the radius of one and the other and make it into a fraction. And then the second thing is you look at the centers and you move it. Okay, so I'm just going to type a question to see if we need to have me go on. Yep, you are going to have to write on the EOC. That's the 4-point constructed response questions. This question probably more likely is going to be, no, this one is probably going to be, okay, thanks, Monica. It's probably going to be multiple choice. So that's the ones I've seen on the practice EOC questions. Okay, let's go ahead and keep going then. That would be great. Okay, the other thing you have to know how to do is population density. And I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this. I'm just going to show you how you can set up the proportion. Basically speaking, this has like, their ecologists are tracking mountain lions through California. They count 443 lions. So I'm going to put 4,543 lions. And they have counted it in 423,970 kilometers. And it says, what's the population? How many lions are in 250 kilometers? And so all you would do is set it up just like that. Lions over kilometers, X lions, we don't know how many lions over kilometers, and then cross multiply. So I'm not going to re-show you how to cross multiply, but that would be one way that you'd use it. We are going to do population density problems in class, so I don't want to spend a whole lot of time how to solve it, more that you know how to set it up. Here's another example. Here it says in the state of New York, in this country of Monaco, pen tool. In the country of Monaco, it has the highest population density with 33,000 people living in 0.75 square miles. The state of New York has a population of 19 million people living in about 47,000 square miles. Use a calculator to complete the following. Write and solve a proportion to find out how many people would live in, I shouldn't have put the equal sign, live in, this is Monaco. This is New York. This is very similar to the Petri dish problem that you guys did on the Unit 5 test. Write and solve a proportion to find out how many people live in Monaco if Monaco had the same population density of New York, and then vice versa. So basically all you're doing is division. You're going to get this and divide, and that's going to give you a number. And I'll tell you right now what the number is. So there is 44. Oh, this ratio gives me 44,000. This one per mile. This one would give us 404 people per mile. So if I do the math here, this gives me 404.25 people per mile. And then that's basically it. So I don't want to go into super more big detail other than anytime you see population density, it's people over mile and you'll compare. And we did a problem already like that on the Petri dish. So we're going to do more problems in class, but that's the main thing for here. Okay, moving on. Okay, the last two things I'm going to do really quick. So if you are an expert at rounding, you don't have to participate. And if you're an expert at fractions, you don't have to participate. You can sign out, and it's only going to be like 4 minutes. One thing I noticed when I was going through the questions is that people would get some of these questions wrong because they know how to round, but they're not looking at the right place value. So that's what the purpose of these things is, just place value. Right here, for example, how it says round to the nearest whole number. Basically speaking, I'm just looking, okay, here's my whole number. Wow, that's unhelpful. Here's my whole number. What number is next to it? This number. So because that number is next to it, I either go up or down. This number is higher than 5, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I'm going to take that 6 and I'm going to move it up. So this answer would be 7. Here, how it says to the 10th, this is the 10th space. So I'm going to look at the number next to it. Well, the number next to it is a 2. So because that 2 is less than 5, that 7 stays the same. There's a little saying that someone told me, but I forgot what it was. But apparently there's a saying that you guys learned in middle school to help you remember. Here it's hundredth. So I'm circling the hundredth place. Looking at the number next to it, it's 0, so it stays the same. Here's the nearest 10th. I circle the 6. I look at the number next to it. 9 is bigger than 5, so it's going to go up. So like here, some people would write 91 down, but it would be wrong because it wants the nearest 10th. So you have to pay attention to what the place value says. Here it says the nearest 10th again. So I look at this number. 5 is bigger, so I'm going to go up. Okay, let me go over. I was going to have you do some, but most people are pretty much set doing it on their own. The last thing you need to see is simplifying fractions. It's going to be really quick. You'll use simplifying fractions whenever we do the formulas. Specifically, we simplify fractions for like area of a sector, arc length. We do proportions also for angle measures. Also, you do simplifying fractions for when you're doing volume and density formulas. So here's just a couple examples. I'm going to start from the bottom, go up. If I have 8 over 16, I'm trying to determine what number can go into 8 and 16. You're ideally looking for the greatest common factor. If you don't know it, you can always just keep dividing by 2 if it's even. So 8 divided by 2 is 4. Divide by 2 again. And divide by 2 again. Whatever you do to the numerator, you do to the denominator. So it's 1/2. You hopefully would have just seen 8 over 16 and divided the numerator by 8 and the denominator by 8 and gotten 1/2 that way. So that's also going to be 1/2. For the 16, it's the same idea. 16 over 72. You might realize that 4 can go into it. So you could divide by 4. And then I might divide by 2. So it doesn't matter. You don't have to have the right number the first time. You can keep getting smaller and smaller. For 45, it's pretty much 9 and 3 are the only numbers that could go into it. So that would be 5/7. Okay, so that's about it. If you want more practice on that, you can pause it and look here. If you have any more questions, let me know. I do have your names down. So if you had not put your name in again, please put it down. And tomorrow we'll figure out if this is a good strategy that we want to use. I think altogether between today, like who at least signed in once, we had about 20 kids sign in. So that's pretty good. I will see you guys later. Have a great rest of your night. Thank you for giving up some of your evening. Yay. Bye-bye, guys.